Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are at. Welcome to Mentor Mornings, my friends. Have you found yourself questioning the sanity of a group or, a group of people around you? Have you been wondering how can they act in such a way? Or how can a group make those kinds of decisions? How is that possible? Well, let's dive into it. And if you appreciate this video, please hit the thumbs up button, share if you feel it is valuable, and subscribe if you are not already. So, Solomon Asch conducted an experiment back in the 50s, and he was looking at the power of conformity. He says, "Hello, good to see you, Dira." He says, "We have found the tendency to conformity in our society is so strong that reasonably intelligent and well-meaning young people are willing to call white black. This is a matter of concern. It raises questions about our ways of education and about the values that guide our conduct." That was Solomon Asch in the 1950s. So what Solomon Asch did is he performed an experiment. He wanted to find out the power of conformity and how can we really kind of gauge this and see how people react to it. And so what he did is he went to a university and he collected up a group of about 50 young college students, and he performed a series of 12 different tests. And what he did is he took a group of eight individuals, and he put them in a room, and he presented them with 3 lines. He presented them with a first group with 3 different lines of varying lengths. And then he took another group, another thing with 1 line on it. This was the 4th line. And he asked the group to identify that the 4th length of the 4th line and match it to the first group of 3 lines. Okay, I described that totally. I probably could have described that a lot better. Basically, it was just match the length of the 4th line to the initial first 3 lines. Pretty simple. Okay, so what he did is he took that group of 8, 7 of that group, they already had determined what their answer was going to be, and it was going to be a wildly inaccurate answer. I mean, it was very clear what line was matched. It was very obvious. And then there was the 8th person who was completely naive. They didn't know what was happening inside of the test. And what they found when these through the 12 sessions of this test is that 1/3 of the participants conformed with the clearly incorrect majority. 1/3 of the participants conformed with them. And of the 12 trials, 75% of the participants conformed at least once. 25% never conformed. So in a control group with no pressure to conform, less than 1% were wrong. Less than 1% were inaccurate. So this tells us a lot. So after the experiment, they were interviewed. The participants were interviewed, and they gave this reason for not giving the right answer. They said, well, I didn't want to seem peculiar, or they were afraid of being ridiculed for being wrong. And the conclusions of this came to basically 2 main reasons why people conformed. The first reason was called normative influence, and that's just the desire to fit in. And that goes back to how we developed and how we evolved when we depended on a group for survival. To be ostracized meant certain death. So it's built into us, into our DNA, that we want to remain part of the group. Okay. The second was informational influence. They believed that the group is better informed than they were. And we talked about that yesterday with the Milgram experiment, where, you know, if information is given from an authority figure, 65% of the people are going to continue forward. They're just going to accept that because it comes from an authority figure, it is truth, and they will live it no matter what. So the 2 reasons to conform: normative influence, the desire to fit in. The second is informational influence, the belief that the group is better informed than they are. So this, guys, is called groupthink. And when you look at the world around you today, where can you see groupthink today? And then if you're wondering, like, how do I avoid groupthink or how do I recognize it? Just the awareness that it's a powerful force and that we as humans are susceptible to the power of that. So, that's why they say mob mentality. That's why groups of people are far more erratic than a single individual. There was a quote that I heard a while ago, and I can't remember who it was. Was it Aldous Huxley? He said basically that insanity in an individual is very rare, but inside of a group or like a nation or a country, it's almost the normal. And I don't know about you guys, but when I look inside of my country, the United States today, I see a massive amount of insanity being accepted by the majority, thanks to the power of propaganda, which we covered yesterday. So if you guys appreciate this video, please hit the thumbs up button. Share once again if you feel it was worthwhile. Subscribe if you are not already. And I will see you tomorrow in Rise Unconquered, my friends. Rise Unconquered.